Tonight's investigation will centre around three areas: the tile floor, which we are looking upon now, the stairs, and room 13. The connection between this tile floor and this date of Friday the 13th rests within the history of the Knights Templars. It was on this day, on October the 13th, 1307, that the Knights Templars were disbanded as an organisation, and they were rounded up and tortured and eventually burnt at the stake. But this floor holds a lot of the history of what happened since then, and we will try to throw some light on what Lady Jane may have been trying to recreate when she had this floor commissioned. Glancing around the floor, we can pick up little hints of what Lady Jane Hope-Vere was trying to portray to Queen Victoria. It was an homage to all the great orders that had gone before. The Order of the Garter, the Order of the Thistle, the Order of St. Patrick, the Knights Templar, and somewhere interwoven there were elements of the stonemasons. The untrained eye today will not be able to pick up these elements, but back then it would have been very clear to Queen Victoria the message of respect that was being paid to her by this elaborate floor. To give credit to Lady Jane and to the Loftus family, they didn't want to bleach away the history of the Redmond family, for they knew the relevance that this great family had here. They in fact paid homage to the Templars, the Knights and Norman Knights that had gone before them. This floor would be impossible to decipher today, for it spans a history of 700 years, and pieces of that history which are lost to us forever. The connection to the Knights Templars in Loftus Hall started long before Raymond arrived to Ireland. It started back in Wales when the Norman Knights grew restless waiting for their order to invade Ireland. Norman Knights were soldiers of fortune. They looked to any port where they could dispatch themselves for their own benefit, and many took the journey to the Holy Lands to fight for their God and for their future. Amongst those were relatives of Raymond, and to follow afterwards were actually his sons. They were sent away with Raymond's blessing for their own fortunes and to follow their own path. The Knights Templar quickly became one of the richest and most influential groups of the Middle Ages, thanks to lavish donations from the crowned heads of Europe, eager to curry favour with the fierce knights. By the turn of the 14th century, the Templars had established a system of castles, churches and banks throughout Western Europe, and it was this astonishing wealth that would lead to their downfall. For the Templars, that end began in the early morning hours of Friday, October the 13th, 1307. A month earlier, secret documents had been sent by couriers throughout France. The papers included lurid details and whispers of black magic and scandalous sexual rituals. They were sent by King Philip of France and a various monarch who in the preceding years had launched attacks on the Lombards, which were a powerful banking group, and France's Jews, who he had expelled so he could confiscate their property for his depleted coffers. In the days and weeks that followed that fateful Friday, more than 600 Templars were arrested, including Grand Master Jacques de Mornay and the Order's treasurer. But while some of the highest ranking members were caught up in Philip's net, so too were hundreds of non-warriors, middle-aged men who managed the day-to-day banking and farming activities that kept the organisation humming. The men were charged with a wide array of offences, including heresy, devil's worship, and spitting on the cross, homosexuality, fraud, and financial corruption.